Hey guys, this is misc.inc. So last week I released a sample pack, a free one called Spaced Out, and I posted it on Reddit in the Lo-Fi Hip Hop sub. And many people were asking me how I do the processing, how I come up with ideas, how I do the mixing. And because I don't want to keep all my secrets for myself, I decided to do a quick video. If you want to check out Spaced Out, you can find the link in the description below. But for now, let's dive into Ableton. So I was chatting with some people on Reddit, and Zachary from Reddit asked me three questions about doing samples, and I want to answer them as best as possible for me. So the first one is, how do you start your process when creating samples? For example, do you sample old records or create your own from scratch? Well, I have to do all the samples by my own because otherwise it would be illegal to sell them. So I just come up with the samples and the ideas, the melodies and the harmonies all by my own. And the second question was, how do you get your samples to sound lo-fi? I often see people using Isotope's vinyl plugin, but that can only go so far. For this, I would say let's just dive into doing a sample, and I show you how I like to process my samples. So for example, I love to take the Ableton Wavetable synth because of this awesome unison function with the noise. It already gets you this noisy sound even with just a sine wave. And then I just like, I don't know, create some chords. Um, for me, I often use those scales presets. Um, I can link those in the description as well. So I got every key right here as a MIDI file. So I take A minor for example, and you can see all those A minor notes on the left hand side here. I just push them to the left hand side so it's behind the start, press fold, and there we go. We just have the notes of A minor, and that's pretty easy to just hit the right notes. So let's let's just do something. We take. Let's start with an A chord. Actually, A minor 7, and just place it. I don't know, a little off. Maybe just a little quieter, and go from A to F. A to F works every goddamn time. I don't know how often I've done this, but it does. Um, and now just head for something, I don't know, more weird. No, maybe just go for an D chord. Transpose those up. So yeah, that's how I start with melodies and chord progressions in general. I don't know if I decided or just take it randomly, but I'll take a key I want to play in and then just play around with some notes. And the good thing is you can't hit wrong notes, which is, it kind of limits you because you can't do crazy chord changes and borrow chords from different keys. But it's a starting point, and many great records are made in only one key, so it works for me. And you can just, if you have those chords, you can just go and play a melody. I don't know. But we just stick with the chords for now. To get the really lo-fi sound, I always work a lot with EQing. So cutting off the lows, especially if you don't have a bass to work on, always helps. And what I also like is to create two return channels, those here. The first one is a long reverb. It's the Arts acoustic reverb right here. And yeah, with almost 5 seconds decay time, and if you just crank it up, you already get some really, really cool reverb sounds. And it has a lot of space and atmosphere. And what you can do now is just, I like the echo, but you can do this with so many delay plugins, not only Ableton. Don't forget to turn on the dry and wet to 100%. And just go for an delay and echo sound you like. The good thing about those return channels is you can actually solo them, so you can hear exactly what they do and also process them like I did on the reverb. I cut it off a lot of the lows and also a bit of the highs to just give it this, I don't know how to say it, but it gets processed, it gets more behind the actual sound. And with the echo, you can do those modulations, a really slow one to change the timing just a tiny bit, and with the echo, it repitches to the real time. So if you crank it up, it sounds like this. And that's already kinda how we want it. So already sounding quite lo-fi. So together. So far so good. I'd love to add a bit crusher. The Decimor 2 is super cool. It has really clean sound, and you can do a lot with filtering, with jitter. You can even change the resolution. So it's pretty easy to use. I just noticed that I don't like that it's all super hard in the mid, so I try to cut it around 250 hertz. Just and yeah, then for this sample, compression is always good because many people tend to just throw in their samples and let them be ready to use. So I always do a little compression with long attack, long release, and a mild ratio, just so the dynamics gets a little bit closer together, but not too much, so it sounds over processed. Yeah, and I like this sample actually a lot, but you can go further now. You can, and I do this a lot. I just freeze what I have. And bounce it to a new audio track. And now we just have this sample here. We have to apply the reverb and delay again. And now we can just play around with it. You can actually treat it like you sampled on record or something. So maybe just pitch it down. Bridge it up. Yeah. +8 semitones sounds great actually. And now what I also like to do is add some rhythm to it. For example, with the volume shaper. So just a tiny bit. Usually you use this for EDM to sidechain your sounds to the kick drum, but I also like to have this on the plugins just a tiny bit. So it kind of pumps. It already gives you this head nogging experience. So. And then, I don't know, you can play with it, how much you like it. So there's a cool stutter effect I found online. It's basically just the auto pan with the phase turned to 0 degrees. So it's basically just ducking the volume. And you can change the grid here to the actually rhythm. And then you can just turn it on and off again and make it sound kind of rhythmic. So let's see how it sounds. Yeah, now you can, go crazy with filters and stuff. So the auto filter with resonance and to kind of emphasize the last bar here. Yeah, it's even to get it into more lo-fi-ish sound. You can also go to your recordings. You can just take your phone or your little field recorder and just record some kids playing, some birds burping, or whatever you like, just to give it a little atmosphere in the background. I like this one. So just cut it so I don't have the rattling of the device at the beginning. Cut the lows. You can even send it to the reverb so it sounds even more in the background. And then make it real quiet. And yeah, then, go to my sample pack, pick the drums, and there you go. Maybe not this one. And yeah, that's how I mostly do all my lo-fi stuff. A good rule of thumb is that lo-fi means less, so especially with EQing, you can always search or use a bandpass filter or whatever you like just to pick a specific range and then just play it there so it sounds even more closer together and more lo-fi. What you can also do, I'm just throwing ideas down here. You can go, you can use a delay, put both on time. I know this works in Ableton. I don't know how it works in FL or Logic. I'm not a user of that, but you have certain other plugins to do that. So now you can just, you have this one. And then you can just go to Max for Live. They have this awesome LFO plugin. Map it to the time. Really, maybe not too much over 20. That's good. Put the rate real slow. Really slow. So it kinda. And yeah, that's how I do most of my samples. I just play around with notes first, then go to the processing. Sound design is a whole world, and I love to do it with sine waves only and distort them or process them because I don't know, I just like the sound of sine waves. And send it to reverb, play with delays, all that kind of stuff, and then go with weird effects, bounce it down, and see what you can do with it. Okay, the third question is, how do you get your samples to sound so clean? All of them sound great together as though they were designed to fit together. Is this mostly just mixing skills, or is this something you're considering when you're designing your samples? Well, I'm just doing samples so they stand out on their own. I try to pay attention to in which range I'm doing the samples. So I try to do not all samples in the, I don't know, 100 to 500 hertz sections, just to have somewhere in the mids, somewhere in the highs, and then just, you know, emphasize the relevant frequency. So, for example, if we take a look at the sample here, we have the EQ8 here, and let's just hear it without. You know, I cut some of the tones because I wanted to bring forward the noisy sound here. But if I adjust the EQ to down here, you wouldn't hear anything, or at least not what I wanted. So yeah, I hope this was helpful for you. And if you have any questions or anything you want to say, leave me a comment, write me a mail, um, send me a postcard. I don't know, but I hope this helped. Peace.